Hey, Dustin Tibbetts here, financial advisor with Jazz Wealth Managers. How's it going today? Hope you're having a good day. This is our quick series here we call FinTips to actually just give you quick tips, get out of your way, let you get back to life, and so I'll do the same thing like I always do. We'll just fire right into it. Today I'm talking about, well look, there's a lot of you that want to invest in real estate in various levels, by the way. I'm not talking about my beginners here. I'm talking about those of you that want to buy single-family homes one day, maybe rent them out or fix them up or whatever. Those of you that want to buy duplexes, triplexes, apartment buildings, commercial buildings, hotel buildings, things like that. I've talked to everybody, and it seems like there's a lot of people that, there's people that want to buy strip malls, right? Like where there's like 6 or 7 different storefronts there, warehouse buildings actually. So there's a lot of people on these different ends of the spectrum, and they go, well, but I don't have the money now. I have X number of dollars, and one day I will get there. But for right now, I'm trying to get my dough straight so that I can go do all this in the future. Well, I want to give you some ideas here. You may find that you like investing in real estate ahead of time. Well, for some of the tax advantages, but also to get your feet wet. Let's see how good you are. So in the stock market, if you happen to have a brokerage account or some sort of investment account, you can actually get started and invest in companies that are already doing all of this for you. And I wanted to give you a few examples of how you can go about this and do this. Now today, by the way, these are not individual recommendations. I have to give you an example of different stocks or ETFs that are in this mix here. So I'm not telling you to go buy these. I'm just giving you examples, hopefully, of some well-known larger names that you've heard of before. Actually, this should just say REITs right in there because they don't call them stocks anymore. But if you want to invest in real estate using the stock market just until you're ready to buy your own physical real estate, you can use ETFs or you can use stocks. ETFs are largely going to be a basket of these REITs, real estate investment trusts, or individual stocks. Those are the REITs themselves, the individual names there. So I'm going to give you a few examples. If you like ETFs, there's one, we usually talk about it on the closing beat. The symbol is FREL. It's a Fidelity-based product. I have no affiliation with them at all. This is an index ETF. Whoa, right? You've heard the index fund thing before, right? Index ETF for REITs. So this is a very passive investment vehicle. These guys basically just put this thing together and they all go away. Nobody's really looking at it. It's an index. It's like the S&P 500. Nobody's really managing that at the moment on a day-by-day basis or picking investments. There's no strategy to it other than to say, hey, we're just benchmarking an index. In this case, the real estate index. It's got a 0.08% expense ratio. It may be 7 or 6 or something like that. The bottom line is it's extremely low. It should be because it's passively managed. It's just replicating an index there. But the FREL has a mix of commercial properties. It's got residential real estate in there. In fact, 41% of it is commercial property, right? So if you like commercial real estate, but you're like, I don't know how to pick different commercial real estate stocks, I'll just go with this one because it's mostly commercial real estate. Yeah, you could do that. That's the FREL. Residential, it is 12%, right? So I didn't mean to say, I just thought of this. I didn't mean to put this here. 12% residential real estate. So you get an idea of some of the breakdown. There's specialty real estate in there. We'll cover some of the individual stocks here in just a moment. So that's the FREL. That's an ETF, big basket of symbols in there. Now, it wouldn't be right of me not to talk about Vanguard. I know a lot of you like your Vanguard. VNQ, that's an ETF run by Vanguard. It is not active per se, but it's not an indexed fund either. It's sort of discretionary. They get to pick what they want inside of this. In fact, 11% of it just happens to be another Vanguard fund that they put inside of it. So this one can be a little discretionary. These guys invest in the individual REITs. It could be anything from commercial, residential, cell towers. That's one as well. And so this is a way to take advantage of that if you want to participate there. Now let's say you go, Dustin, look, I'm going to do my research. I want to actually find commercial real estate REITs. I want to find residential real estate REITs and I want to invest in those individually. Well, you can do that. It requires a little bit extra homework. I'm going to point out a few, again, not individual recommendations, just simply to get you looking in the right direction as far as the category that they fall in. Ticker symbol SPG, you've probably heard of it. I picked it because it's a bigger name. Simon Property Group. They own like every mall around me. That's what they do. They do malls, the big mall shopping center, things like that. Highly likely that your mall in your area has some sort of affiliation or is directly owned by Simon Property, and that would be an example of a commercial real estate REIT. So if you want to get in with that and start to see what it takes to invest on that level, you'll of course get their prospectus. You can look through all of that. You can keep in touch with the company. You are a shareholder, right? So you will be in tune with what they are doing. I would highly suggest setting alerts on Google or some other alerting system to let you know when they make transactions. You can look through their earnings. You can study it. If you want to be a commercial real estate company yourself in the future and buy this stuff, you can start to learn like how they're acting and what they're doing here. Let's say you go, Dustin, I'm a hotel guy. You know what I mean? I'm not going to do the whole residential commercial thing. I like the hotels. I'm going to own a hotel. I'd like to get into that mix. Well, you can study a company or look at investing in HST. Again, I'm not telling you to buy it. I'm just telling you this is a hotel company. You would know them as they own a lot of Marriott hotels. So they're real heavy in the Marriott brand. These guys literally own and operate the hotel locations. That's what they do. So if you ever thought about doing that on a smaller scale, or you're a future mogul and you want to do this yourself, maybe investing there, because you can invest smaller amounts, lets you get your feet wet and you learn a few things from them there. You've got, chords, PLD, yeah, Prologis, I think is how you say their name. Very big company. These guys invest in they call it logistical style real estate, like warehouses, right? So those big old Amazon buildings, not Amazon, but big buildings where you look inside and there's just rows and rows of shelves and like, what's going on in there? Is anybody really doing anything? Well, those are warehouse fulfillment centers, things like that. That's a company that deals with that. So if you ever said, look, I'm going to buy me a warehouse, it'll have 12 units in it, and I'm going to rent out each little piece of that, hey, maybe you can learn something from them as well. I'm going to just erase this and move on. I'll just pretend that it's all still there, right? Residential real estate, very popular. People go, I want to be an apartment guy. I see that guy on YouTube who tells me to go buy apartments, and he's that big I can't think of his name. But anyways, he buys apartments and you're like, I'm going to be this dude one day. I'm going to have my own jet. Like, somebody tell me his name. AVB. It's a public REIT that you can actually buy. These guys focus on residential apartment buildings. Avalon Bay, it's probably Avalon Bay, given their ticker symbol there. So you can look at that. You could be investing in that for now. Now you, of course, Grant Cardone, that's his name. Now, he doesn't like the idea of investing in REITs. Okay, maybe it's a starting point for you to say, just by investing in them, I have access. I'm going to look up their documents. I'm going to be in tune with all of this and see how they handle themselves. When they sell a property, you could be like right there participating in the news and the events of all that. It may be a way to sort of be holding on to something that you eventually want to go dive in and compete with. Maybe one day you're going to be in competition with them. So I think that's okay. You got cell towers. Popular one you probably heard of, AMT, American Towers. These guys actually have the little plots of lands that have those massive cell towers on them. CCI is another one. Just companies, they may have, maybe you have some land somewhere. They knocked on your door and said, could I put a cell tower right there and we'll pay you a little bit of money to operate that. They then lease it out to the cell companies, things like that. That's also a REIT, believe it or not. So that fits into there. And then lastly, well, not lastly, there's a whole bunch, but maybe healthcare, right? There's a company called Ventas, or Ventus. I think it's Ventus. I don't know. Ticker symbol's VTR. That's what I know. So these are healthcare REITs. So these guys buy healthcare facilities, right? They don't necessarily operate them and like take care of the rehab patients or elderly patients. They don't necessarily do that. They own the building, the facility. They set up all of that. Like when you go into the rooms and you see there's an oxygen connection on the wall, well, they built the building that way, right? So they could then lease it out to other, healthcare facilities or whoever it is. So it depends on where you land, right? Also, self-storage. There's a lot of self-storage companies where they build the long rows of garages and then they rent them out for $80 a month or whatever. You might want to do that physically in the future, but for now you don't have the money. You'd like to learn a little bit about it. You can invest in those as well. The bottom line being, just because you don't have the dough to invest in real estate doesn't mean you can't do it right now. You may use REITs as a vehicle to grow your dough. You may also use it to start learning about the individual areas. Hey, and then one day you dive in. You go buy a piece of property, and who knows, maybe you end up buying something from one of these REITs, and by then you'll know how they do their thing. Well, hey, I hope that helps you in some way. Just wanted to point that out for you. And if it did help you, maybe you'll hit the subscribe button. That helps us here, and I appreciate it. Other than that, you guys have a great rest of your day. See you later.
Why should you choose Jazz Wealth as your retirement or long-term investing service? Our portfolios are managed by us, not some faceless mutual fund manager. Our private classes will teach you everything about investing and getting your dough straight. Best of all, our fiduciary standard means your best interest comes before ours.